What's up, y'all? Today, I want to show you an epic around-the-horn team flight from Avenal to the Sierras and back across the valley with Morgan Hall. We launched around noon from Avenal with the hope of going around the horn, as we say, crossing from the coastal ranges to the Sierras. Morgan had just received his very own JS3 RES, and I was eager to be able to fly alongside him again. It was a very typical Avenal day, which is to say that the lift was on and around Black Mountain, not going particularly high, and a big blue gap between there and the California Valley. We ran a short leg north to give the clouds a few more minutes to develop, and we cautiously made the jump into the blue. Coming east of Paso Robles, we could see a cloud forming in front of us. I pressed hard here, probably a little too hard, but the thermals closer to California Valley are normally very strong. We lost half our altitude on the glide, but sure enough, the lift under this cloud quickly got us to cloud base and off to the races.
Fasten your seatbelts.
This was a classic but powerful convergence run. From the north end of the Temblors to Mount Pinos, we ran 105 kilometers with no turning, powered by the cool coastal air smashing into the desert air below us.
What a ride.
Yeah, it is ripping. What do you think? I think the long way around will let you be faster on the clouds. Turning left. Nine.
We took our climb near Mount Pinos as high as we could and jumped another blue gap towards Tehachapi, where the next group of clouds promised lift.
I can think of later 8. Flies good, right?
Oh man, this thing's amazing.
This is where we start getting into the high terrain of the Sierras. Morgan and I glided along, losing half our altitude again. We did encounter some lift under clouds near Tehachapi, but it felt odd to me, not like a well-defined thermal, so I pressed on to the next cloud.
I felt pretty good. I think I missed it.
Turning left. Six. Ten plus.
Have you wiped any bugs?
Negative. We'd have to slow down to 70 for that.
Yeah, I was just curious if you'd done it earlier when we were thermaling or something.
Oh, nah. Super sketchy when thermaling. They bounce all over the place.
Just one little circle back there. It's lost 2 miles on you.
I'll wait the next one.
There was a choice to make here, with a weaker line to the west, and with a strong-looking but further away line to the east. Morgan and I both changed our minds once or twice, but eventually made it to the east to meet the Sierra Crest 20 kilometers south of Mt Whitney, the mainland's highest peak.
Get high, go up a little farther north, and then dive for Avenal.
All right, I like it.
It's going 39 to 1 required right now.
Land key.
Got a bit of a headwind though. So you could run back south, I suppose, and then take a little more of a quartering tailwind or a quartering crosswind.
Yeah, that'll work for me too.
We turned around to start our 180-kilometer final glide back to Avenal when I made a small, classic, and critical error. I made a turn to the east and found not lift, but sink. Being close to the terrain, it only took a minute before I was again below the crest. Being both in the lee and shadow at the end of the day is a difficult position to recover from. However, it did make for some spectacular views of Whitney.
That line didn't work out so well for you.
It did not. I'll find something.
Soon enough, I found enough of a thermal to get me back above the terrain and back to searching for final glide. I'd lost 30 minutes to Morgan, and he was already halfway home. It takes about an hour to cross the valley this way, and I was guessing about 40 to 1 glide ratio would be sufficient to get back to Avenal. There are many airports and strips and fields along the way, which makes it a very benign final glide. We also both had the option of starting our motors before the Kettleman Hills if we needed to.
The air is just descending out the valley. I got like meadow down 1 knot.
Uh-oh. Rider 8, 10 miles north of Sequoia Ranch, 13,300, final glide, Avenal.
Nice. I'm a little below glide right now. I'm 48 nautical out, 8,900.
How much margin do you show?
Well, I don't have any, but I guess that's actually at McCready 3, so I'm currently getting better than required, so I am gaining on glide. Are you final glide McCready 0 or what?
I put 1.5.
We made it safely home with the sun casting its orange hues across the hills. Thanks to Morgan for flying with me and teaching me a few lessons along the Sierras. I live for these unique soaring days. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the skies.